Hey, yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy BQ. We're going to be talking Impact Wrestling 1000, Night 2. This is a very early live stream. This is about 5:30 in the morning for me. I'm not really expecting a whole lot of people to hop on there at this time. I know there's some people from other parts of the world that might tune in, but had to knock this one out before work today since I wasn't able to do it last night. So we're going to get right into it. I had a lot of praise last week for the episode. I thought that they did a really good blend of just past, present, future, rather than focusing so much and relying on the nostalgia like throughout the whole show, which is really what I expected. Because in the past, when they've done similar things, that's kind of what they've done. And we know if you go to their YouTube and their social media is like nostalgia is their thing, right? That's always been really big with Impact, but they just did just this whole 2 night event special, whatever. They did a very good job of just keeping celebrating the past, but like keeping us in the loop of hey, this is who's hot right now in the company. This is who we're pushing. So I got to give them props for that. It's like it was really unexpected for me overall. Now, I see a couple people joining the chat here. I know this is very the live stream, I should say. I know this is very, very early, not typically when I do this, but well, maybe it's not early for you or your side of the world. Who knows? But this episode, I would say, was not as good as the last one. But I think with the last episode, that opening segment with the knockouts really set the tone. So I think I would compare the 2 episodes. I think they're pretty comparable, but just that very first segment where everyone was coming out, I still think Mickie James was acting kind of weird with a fake accent. But aside from that, Gail Kim coming out, Kong, and even the way they factored in the current knockouts, I think universally it was a really loved segment across the board. I think everyone enjoyed it quite a bit. So that was the big difference for me, kicking it off with that, as opposed to this week kind of kicking it off with the action. Now, speaking of the action, the very first thing we got was Ultimate X. And I will say, for me, this was probably their best Ultimate X match in quite some time. And this match was Ace Austin, Zachary Wentz, Rich Swann, Alan Angels, Mike Bailey, Samurai Del Sol. And they always say this is the return of Ultimate X, even though we've seen Ultimate X a couple months ago. Tom Hannafin said, I think he said it's the 40th ever Ultimate X. I did the math. I don't remember what he said. I did the math, and there's 2.5. It averages the 2.5 a year, so they're not really that rare. But I will say this was probably the better one in a while. I think the last Ultimate X I really enjoyed, and I know this was a while ago, was the one that Rich Swann won at Homecoming several years ago, where he won the X Division Championship. Like I think that was the last one for me. Ethan Page was in it when he was fat, before he got into great shape. For me, that was the last one I really, really just enjoyed. And we've done a few since that. Well, the Knockouts one was a lot of fun too, but they did the tag team one. Maybe it was Hard to Kill. I don't quite remember Slammiversary. I thought it was okay. And they've done a few here and there where I just thought they were all right. But this one was probably one of the better ones they've done in a while. Rich Swann got a world, former world champion gets a jobber entrance, and they let you know that Speedball Mike Bailey and Ace Austin were the main guys in this match. Even though I said this was the best match they'd put on in quite some time, which I do still stand by, the finish of this match, I don't know what the hell was going on. This was not good. Speedball Mike Bailey is climbing. So, I mean, this whole match, they're climbing on the wires and they're pretty easily getting to the X, right? They're scooching their way. However, whether they're just hanging with their hands, whether they got their legs tied up, they're getting to the X pretty easily, right? I don't know who laid out this match. I don't know if this is like the producer's fault, the wrestler's fault. I don't know what it was. Mike Bailey is climbing the wire and he is hanging there for what feels like 5 minutes. and the announcers are trying to sell this some weird way. Like, oh, I mean, they can't even come up with excuses why he can't get to the X, and he's just hanging there waiting for all this action to happen in the ring. And then finally, Angels gets up there. I think that was the point where they all got up there. It was, and they all started scooting towards the X. Like clearly he climbed up way too early for this spot. And it just looked really, really bad. So you at first you've got this like great match going on, and then you just have this like really weird, wonky finish where Mike Bailey is just hanging there. And I know I said it feels like 5 minutes, but I think it was really it had to have been like no joke 4 minutes. I don't think it was one of those things he was up there for 30 seconds. I felt like forever. Like he was hanging up there for a while. And eventually Zach Wentz is spray painting everyone. And when there's matches that say, no holds barred, anything goes, no disqualification, what is stopping someone from using a weapon the entire match? So that's why I just hate rules like that. Like you still got to have some kind of parameters. Yeah, they don't have to get disqualified, but there's got to be some kind of parameters. Like there's got to be a ref not allowing certain things. Because what was stopping Zachary Wentz from just spraying people the entire match from the opening bell? What if he just blinded all his opponents? You know, um, Anyway, so he blinds a couple of the individuals. They fall, and then you got Mike Bailey and Alan Angels left up there by themselves. Alan Angels kicks him. Mike Bailey falls. Alan Angels falls as well, which was clearly an accident. And then he has to climb all the way back up, get over to the X. He gets it and he wins. So I'm excited that he won, especially getting a jobber entrance, because that's one of my dudes in wrestling. Like I really love Alan Angels. So he's got the X Division title shot, and up to that point, it was a good match. It was just very odd the way it was laid out at the end, and obviously the semi botched finish. I mean, it's that the finish wasn't that big of a deal because we expect people to slip off the ropes, and it's they cannot be perfect doing a match like this. But whatever happened with Mike Bailey hanging on the ropes for like 4 or 5 minutes looked pretty ridiculous. But Alan Angels is the number one contender. He had a little promo backstage where he said, basically said he's not going to carry the X around his neck like some kind of goof. So he's just going to challenge Chris Sabin for the X Division Championship next week. So they're just getting this out of the way. They're not going to build. They're not going to try to get Alan Angels a couple wins along the way, try to heat him up a little bit, nothing like that. They're just going to like get the X Division title shot out of the way. So that whoever he really is going to defend a championship against at Bound for Glory, they can start building up that match. So, this was doing Ultimate X for the sake of doing Ultimate X, someone winning, and then having a throwaway title shot. So that's kind of disappointing for me, but at least he's getting a high profile match with Chris Sabin, which should be pretty good next week. The next match we got was Dirty Dango with Alpha Bravo versus Jake something. And I dig the Alpha Bravo stuff. It's very goofy. It's very silly, but it's one of those gimmicks that you don't have to take too seriously. And people tell me that a lot of the time when I'm pointing out inconsistencies in wrestling or things that don't make sense, I get it all the time. Like, it's pro wrestling. Don't take it serious. Well, pro wrestling is at its best when they are pretending it's real. That's how we get lost in it. But something like this, there's the certain gimmicks like this that it works. This is something that's like, hey, don't take it seriously, because he's not trying to pretend I'm really he's not trying to make us believe like Dr. Ross that he's really a security guard. Like it's just goofy. It's silly. It works. It's not at the top of the card. And the Dango stuff has been pretty good. When they first brought him on, he was kind of a baby face, and he was kind of rehashing the old Fandango gimmick. That wasn't getting over with anyone. But this is weird. I hate pro wrestling thing. I don't really care for that because it doesn't sound very genuine. But other than that, everything that he's been doing has been very good. I just wish that he would have changed his name because once he got this new gimmick, I just wish he would have went like a real name, whatever his real actual shoot name is. I would have preferred something like that, or I don't know, throw some kind of get rid of dirty, you know, put something. I don't know. And speaking of someone with no name, his opponent was Jake something, or as Hannafin calls something, because that's his last name, right? So that's what you have to call him. Did you guys catch that episode weeks ago where Laredo Kid was in it and Hannafin kept calling him kid, kid? I don't understand why he does that. Anyway, this match here, at first I was like, why is this on the show? And I didn't have a lot of interest in it just because I mean, just I'm saying I didn't have a lot of interest when they announced it. I'm like, the fuck's this doing on the show? But they contested a match under Fox Box rules, so there's a 10-minute time limit with on-screen display, reminiscent of the first episodes of Impact that aired on Fox Sports Net and Chase Stevens was the judge and event of a time limit draw. I was really hoping this was not going to a time limit draw, and those things can be kind of silly when it's heel versus face, and you got a baby face in the Fox box. He's obviously not going to give the match to Dango, so I was hoping it was just going to be a clean win, but this was actually okay. I thought it was just an Impact Plus match on TV, but it was okay. And at the end, Bravo accidentally hits Dango with the flashlight, and then Jake something hits into the void for the win. So I'm glad he actually has a name for that finisher right now. For a while, they were calling it the Black Hole Slam, and I'm just like, oh my god, can no one come up with a name for a finisher in this company? So yeah, Jake something beats Dirty Dango. Oh, all right. What do we got after this? I did not do the best job with notes this episode. They're very didn't do myself any favors. Macklin is cutting a promo backstage. I mean, I almost completely forgot that he took out Rhino once upon a time. The reason I do remember it is because I was upset that when he took him out, and then after the match, he went out to the ambulance to deliver more punishment, and PCO magically appeared out of the ambulance. And it upset me at the time because I thought that we were getting some really good heat on Macklin, and we should have continued to get that heat by him just like absolutely just pulling Rhino out of the ambulance and just beating the piss out of him and just continue to get real heat on him. But instead, we had to do magic with PCO and make sure PCO was standing tall at the end of the episode. So I remember being pretty upset about that. Otherwise, I would have had no recollection whatsoever. And as much as this company loves to show you these highlights and nonstop, I don't believe they showed anything about this. I don't think we got. I could be wrong, but I feel like we didn't get any kind of highlight. Maybe we did. And Santino comes out yelling at him because they had to get Santino on the show. I don't think Santino really cared that much. After this, we had Kenny King versus Eric Young. And if this was a normal episode of Impact, I would have been like, what the fuck are they doing? What the fuck is this? But it's a nostalgia episode. It's a throwback. We're just kind of having fun. So we don't look into things too deep. But it started off as Kenny King versus Eric Young. It lasted about 45 seconds before it ended in a disqualification. So then Shark Boy, who's the deputy whatever to Santino, comes out. He makes this a tag team match. Scott D'Amore happens to be at ringside in wrestling gear, so why not? Not so much for Sheldon Jean. I think he just had regular pants on, but it's whatever. They make it a tag team match. This tag team match lasts about 30 seconds because the design runs out. So again, if this was a normal episode, I'd be like, what is this garbage? But this is just a fun Impact 1000 episode. So this is just about getting AMW out there, which is What happened? Shark Boy comes out because no, 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 no. This is going to be an 8-man tag. He just happens to have AMW and their music and their Jumbotron and everything ready to go. So that's what happens. We get a 8-man tag team match. And we didn't get any nonsense from Scott D'Amore, like the Canadian Destroyer and all that, which I was hoping he wasn't going to do, because hitting a Destroyer on the good hands is one thing, but hitting on an up and comer like Sheldon Jean, who you hope to really do something with one day, Kenny King, even Diener for that instance, like those aren't guys we're gonna let Scott get a lot of offense in. So I thought they paced it out pretty well to where Scott got his moments, but it wasn't like he was taking out the wrestlers and just out wrestling them. I did pop at the point, even if you remember it, where Khan ran out and or he ran through the ring and just took out Scott D'Amore. He was standing on the apron and just punched his ass. So that was really good for me. It was good to see Eric Young in this environment as well, because doing the Violent by Design thing and everything, it was just always so serious. And this is a guy who he has like some personality, and I don't know, it was kind of nice to see him out there smiling and just having fun. So good for him. And as far as AMW goes, it's always good to see James Storm. He's been on more episodes of Impact than anybody, so you've got to have him on the show. And I thought Wildcat Chris Harris looked okay. I thought he looked in pretty decent shape, better than last time we saw him on screen and they put him in the ring. I thought he just looked better. He clearly is not really in wrestling shape, but he looked good. He looked good. So obviously Scott, EY, and AMW are going to win. The heels are not going to win these type of matches. Then we got a little something from last week showing Team 3D and Devon talking to the crowd. And that was good. That was cool. I've never heard Devon say anything positive about Impact up to this point. There was something that came out, an article where they said Devon was trying to get signed with Impact, and he came out and debunked that. He said that's not true. Like, he said he would, if they had some other dates for Team 3D, that he would be open to it, but he was not openly campaigning to sign with Impact like the article that came out was saying. So then after this, we get Feast or Fired and the reveals of the briefcase is, and this is such a weird match. It's kind of like, I don't mind the concept in general, because now we're kind of getting those Money in the Bank briefcases, and that's always been kind of a fun thing. I don't mind. I like the overall concept of the match, but the firing part is what is just so odd to me, because if you remember with this match last week, they had Steve Macklin in it. Did they have Rich Swann in it? I know they had Sami Callihan in there. You had, obviously these guys, Moose, Chris Bay. You've got guys who are mainstays in your company, and I know that you're trying to paint this as guys who are willing to put their career on the line for opportunity and for title shots that they may not have earned otherwise. Like, I get the general concept, but if we're just using some common sense, does that make any sense that a company is going to risk several of their top stars being fired for the sake of a title shot? Because for the most part in Impact, if you just say you want a title shot, you get a title shot. Like, you don't have to politic a whole lot. You can get it the next week if you wanted to. You can have won no matches, and the next week say, I want a shot at the X Division Championship. You could come in the company and get a title match on your first night in the company. So it's not like you have to go jump through hoops to wrestle for belts around here. So that's where there's just like a disconnect for me as a fan. But why would you risk Sami Callihan getting fired and Moose getting fired? And, but it's a thing Impact does to write someone off television, even if it's temporary, whatever. There's not usually a lot of mystery with these briefcases. They get the briefcases, and we usually have a pretty good idea what's in there. Moose is not going to get an X Division title shot. Crazy Steve, who has no friends, is not going to wrestle for the tag team championships. You understand where I'm going with it. Everyone's back there with their tag team partners. It's like years ago when James Storm won it, and it's like Bobby Roode standing there next to him. Clearly, they're going to get the tag team title shots. Drew Galloway's in there. Of course, he's going to get the world title shot. I mean, get the absolute hell out of here. And this was no different. But I thought they did a good job with this because last time they had Feast or Fired, I think was the one where EC3 got fired, and they were in the ring, and I didn't really care for it. Who was in there? It was Jeremy Borash. That's what it was. And he's doing this EC3, sounding like it's a come on down, open your briefcase. And it was all kind of like comedy. So I was hoping they were going to do something where it's behind closed scenes. And as much as I don't like them using music because it always sounds goofy, like for this particular thing, it actually works. The background music works for this, like to build up a little drama, And Dave LaGreca did a good job here. Last week I said when they announced he was going to do it, I was like, okay, it's going to be silly. And he did a good job with it. And it's a good role to bring him in to do stuff like this because, as I mentioned with Jeremy Borash, he used to do a lot of this stuff. But you can't have Dave Penzer out there, going backstage looking like a stooge, reading off cards because he doesn't remember his lines. You can't do that. So Dave LaGreca did a pretty good job here. But Crazy Steve, I thought it was funny when they asked everyone what they hoped was in there. And, the first two teams say tag team title shots. Moose said, yeah, what they said, tag team title shot, because he's really in it for himself, but he's pretending that, he's there for the betterment of the team with Brian Meyer. So that was pretty good. And then Crazy Steve said heart, liver, lungs. He's been doing probably the best character work on Impact right now by far. So there was no surprises here. Sorry, I don't know why I call him Chris Steve. Crazy Steve got the digital media title shot, which means nothing. So can you imagine wrestling in this match and putting your career on the line for the digital media championship? Moose got the Impact World title shot. So that's actually cool because, we expect Josh to potentially win the title Bound for Glory. Alex Shelley may retain. I don't know. I don't expect Alex Shelley to be like a really long title holder. I actually think Alex Shelley's going to win a Bound for Glory, but I don't think he's going to hold it that long. Like, is Moose going to cash in again? Moose with the Call Your Shot gauntlet gave us one of the more memorable segments when he, excuse me, I got a cough here, when he cashed in and beat Josh Alexander. Now that same intrigue is out there. Like, can he do this again? And I hope he does. I hope that he, Moose kind of has that kind of like Edge used to have with the Ultimate Opportunist. I hope Moose kind of becomes that for Impact. And then Chris Bay obviously is going to get the world title shot because they want to do them versus the Rascals at Bound for Glory. I mean, there's just no surprises here. And then Yuya Uemura, I don't call him Jabba Mura anymore because I actually saw him win a match, and then he's won with Joe Hendry. So he's Yuya, but he's also Baya because he has been fired. And I actually thought the acting here between Yuya and Joe Hendry was pretty good. It wasn't like, it didn't come off phony at all. So Yuya doesn't even work here. He's not part of the company. He's gone. They're going to do some kind of goodbye for him next week, which is just silly. I mean, with a guy who really came in and didn't win a whole lot, but it's fine. I think they're going to have a final match for him and everything. So that's okay. It's all good. I think it's with Josh Alexander. Actually, I thought so. It's probably because New Japan was like, hey, we sent him down there for some serious matches. You put him in a comedy gimmick, and Impact's like, okay, we'll make his very last match against Josh Alexander. The wild thing is that the Joya thing was really over with the audience. That got over very, very quickly, and then it's over. So, that's what's kind of unfortunate, because even though I didn't really like Uemura for the most part as far as what they had him do in Impact, like what doing the stuff with Joe Hendry to Joya was actually fun, and now it's gone. So I thought it also breathed some new life into Joe Hendry, who, you just don't want to get stale doing the same thing. It gave him something else to do, but now he's gonna, I don't know, go back for the digital media championship. I don't know. Josh Alexander took on Trey Miguel after this in the main event. Really excellent match, just as we expected it would be. I'm not going to go too in depth because I don't like to just go through moves and holds and all that. But of course, they put on a really good match. I'm not a big fan of champions getting pinned in matches, but he's a tag team champion and he's wrestling a singles match, so that's how they justify it. I'm looking at this match graphic. Josh Alexander truly only has one pose, and it's that the head behind the headgear. That's it. He's got nothing else. Um, so yeah, he wins with the C4 spike. I will put my life on it next week when we go into Impact. There's going to be a slow motion video of C4 spike, C4 spike. I can put my life on it. The story of this though was that Zachary Wentz got involved and Alex Shelley came down to save him, and then they did the angle after the match. And I will say the promos between the two have been a lot better than what was expected, especially because Alex Shelley was doing I don't want to call it comedy, but it was very jovial, like I said last week. And it makes right now him being serious and kind of being a dick, it makes it stand out a little bit more. So they're kind of, I don't want to say they're proving me wrong because I still don't trust this over the next couple of weeks to really engage me with just captivating television, but they're doing a better job with this than I expected. Then they gave us breaking news over We Own the Night, even though I mean, God forbid there's a theme song for Bound for Glory. But over We Own the Night, we know that Will Ospreay's taking on Mike Bailey at Bound for Glory. I've already done an upload about my thoughts on this match. My general my general thoughts on it, however, was that this was really small potatoes for Impact. I thought this was done to pop the Impact fans. Now, if they put on a 5-star match, maybe that gets the attention of some people who don't follow the company. But Mike Bailey, for the most part, is a mystery to people outside of the Impact bubble. I thought this was an Impact Plus match. And maybe it's because Ospreay is, he's doing this match because he's doing AEW dates in October. So it's not like they really went out of their way to negotiate with him. So maybe this was one of these things where they had to give him a win, where they said, hey, we'll give you an opponent for a good match and a win. But he's had some very high profile matches lately that he's won. And I explained the 70-30 concept in my upload, and you can even make it 60-40. But the general, concept of that is for 30% in this instance, make matches to pop the fans. The other 70 make matches and that will entice people to order who don't typically watch the company. That doesn't mean 3 out of 10 matches are for the fans. It's an actual percentage. So anything Will Ospreay does is going to have a much heavier weight than what Jake something does on the card, if that makes any sense. So because you've given Will Ospreay, one of the biggest stars in wrestling, this match with an Impact guy that we know, but most people don't, you have to work that much harder with the rest of the matches to sell it. But you can't, because the rest of the matches are just people on your roster that we see every day, and there's no intrigue there that's going to grab that New Japan fan, that AEW fan. So this was their opportunity to do that, and I thought Scott D'Amore wanted to pop himself with this match, to be honest with you. That's not going to take away from how good it's going to be. It's going to be excellent. Like I said, it could be 5 stars, which means nothing to me, but to the wrestling world that does, and to Meltzer that means something. So if Mike Bailey is able to land a 5-star match, that would be incredible. I've already given my thoughts many times that Ospreay and Josh Alexander should have been the match, or Will Ospreay for the world title. So that's all I got. Jonathan Gresham, he's talking with Speedball Mike Bailey backstage. I need someone to shoot me a DM on Twitter or on Facebook if we're friends. Someone who has met Mike Bailey in real life. I don't always catch the YouTube comments or if you tweet at me, so message me. Does he act like this in real life? Is this his real persona? Like if you meet him at a wrestling show or at a convention and you're exchanging words with him and he's signing your gear and you're taking a picture, is this how he talks? I need to know. I was watching this episode and I just decided that I need to know if he is like this bad of an actor or if that's just the way he talks. Maybe he's not a bad actor. Maybe that's as genuine as he is. I just need to know. Someone needs to message me immediately. So, John Schuyler, the good hands have been wanting a title opportunity. So they're starting to use WWE terminology. They did it during Feast or Fired. It's title championship opportunities. And there's just the company does too much shit over the years. They have done too much shit over the years because WWE does this, so they think they're supposed to as well, including silly backstage segments like the Gresham and Bailey and the good John Schuyler and the Rascals, where the camera just happens to be there while they start a conversation. They do that because WWE does it, so they think they're supposed to. So now it's title opportunity instead of title shot. Are they going to start saying premium live events too? I don't know, but this whole thing was the good hands want a title shot, but the Rascals are dodging it, and the ABC interrupts because they've earned a title shot. I don't really know what they were trying to accomplish with this whole thing. Then they make it official that Josh Shelley is facing Josh Alexander. Did I say Josh Shelley? Alex Shelley is defending against Josh Alexander at Bound for Glory. And this is another one that's going to be a really, really excellent match, but we've seen it before. And Bound for Glory, as I've always said, usually avoids any kind of rematch in the main event. But that's kind of what we're getting here. It was an Impact Plus match when it happened. I actually think Alex Shelley is going to retain here. I don't think they're going to be that cookie cutter and just put it back on Josh Alexander. Actually, no. What I've always said is Impact stays the course, right? So Josh is probably going to win. He was probably supposed to be the champion. They're going to put the title back on him. That's always how they've been. Okay, so main event here. I know I don't got the most energy in the world here. As I said, it's early. It's very early. I'm doing my best here though to to hang in there. So we got Trinity. This is the big knockouts. I think they called it the greatest knockouts match ever, or something along those lines. But it's Trinity, Jordan Grace, Mickie James, Gail Kim, Awesome Kong versus Purrazzo. Deonna Purrazzo, Tasha Steelz, Giselle Shaw, Savannah Evans, and Angelina Love. I was thinking watching this match, this was a really good opportunity for Savannah Evans. I'm sure that backstage she really took it all in because she was in the ring with a lot of legends and a lot of the big dogs right now and currently on the roster with the knockouts, and she hasn't done a whole lot. I mean, she's been involved a lot with Tasha and Giselle and all that, but she doesn't necessarily win matches. And it just dawned on me that she used to be the heavy of Tasha Steelz, and now randomly she's the heavy for Giselle Shaw, and I don't think there was any kind of dissension there whatsoever. They were all on the same team. Deonna Purrazzo was a heel again. They made her a baby face for a month or so for whatever reason. I think it was during the feud with Trinity because people were cheering for her, but she's heel again as she belongs. So, so the beautiful people got a really good entrance here. The heels all got jobber entrances, except for the beautiful people, and they should not jobber entrance of beautiful people. And I still can't get over the personality that Velvet Sky shows when she's part of the heel beautiful people compared to what she was doing on NWA, where there's just complete absence of personality. So it's just pretty crazy. She does a really good job with this stuff. And the beautiful people, when they're heels, that's when it works. Like if you remember towards the end, it was just like Velvet Sky and Madison Rain, and there were baby faces, and that shit does not work. So this match overall was a good one. Gail Kim got her bell rung in this match. Velvet Sky pulled her off the ropes. Her head hit the ground very hard. She got concussed. She was moving around like she was drunk for a little while. Very similar to John Moxley on AEW recently getting his bell rung and he could not get to his feet. That was going on with Gail Kim here for a little bit. And much like Moxley, she eventually came to a little bit. They had her in the ring for a while. She was in there for a bit. And even though she had a couple sloppier moments, and it probably was because of getting her bell rung, she actually had a couple moments as well, like the head scissors off the top rope that she did. That was really really good. So this was just nostalgia match, but it was past, present, and future. Everyone was looking forward to this. This was just something that we didn't really care if it was quick tags and or if there wasn't a lot of storytelling. This was just something fun for us to watch and enjoy with some of the older knockouts and some of the newer ones. I really, really, really hope that they're keeping Angelina Love around for a while. MK Ultra, they need opponents. Obviously, Velvet Sky doesn't wrestle anymore, and I don't know why she's so stuck on being retired because Gail Kim's much older than her and still wrestled this match, and much more injured than her as well. But she does not wrestle. But you can bring in Mandy Leone, and they can either do a new Beautiful People or they can do the Allure. But MK Ultra needs something, man, because they ruined the opportunity to use the Hex, and now Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich are just wrestling the Death Dolls and Giselle Shaw and Savannah Evans every week, and it's the same old shit. BTI was them versus the Death Dolls. Who the fuck cares? So you need something good for them, and I think Angelina Love with someone is the way to go for MK Ultra at Bound for Glory. It was great to see Tasha Steelz back. As I said last week, she came off like a real star, and she came off good as here. But she got a entrance as well. So it was Tasha Steelz and the Beautiful People got entrances. Deanna got a jobber entrance, which is the second time in the last 2 months that they've done that to her. And the babyface side, of course, they all got their full entrances. And then Awesome Kong, I guess I had kind of checked out for whatever reason, but I didn't even recall her being in the match. But it was brought to my attention that she was the one who got tagged in at the end, hit a choke slam, implant buster, and got the win. So I don't think she did that spinning heel punt, not spinning heel, spinning back fist that stopped looking good a long time ago. So yeah, that was it. The good guys win. We expected that they were going to win. They all got their hands up. Trinity's holding the bell, and Mickie James is looking up at it like, I want that. Which is silly. Isn't she like a 4 times knockout champion? Is she really that obsessed with the belt? You're going to be the Charlotte Flair of Impact. But we've known that this is where they were trying to go with it. Trinity, Mickie James, Bound for Glory. Like, we know that's what they're trying to do. And I expect that match to be announced here very, very soon. So that's going to do it for me. So it's probably not my best review in the world. As I said, it is early. Now I'm about to start getting ready for work for the day, but I definitely wanted to get this out there. So let me look at these comments here real quick just to see anything. Josh really needs to change his music. He absolutely does. It is ass. Change your channel name. I see. Yeah, I explained that last couple episodes. So I know not everyone's catching it, but it is your Impact Lounge, Impact Review, but the channel is Negative BQ. I feel that I can stand on my own 2 feet as far as my my brand at this point, and I don't need to use another company's name in my channel. So a lot of the reasons. So a couple other MK Ultra versus Tasha Steelz and Deanna, that could work too. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Humble Beast giving me all sorts of comments. They should have let Josh and Macklin feud a little more. It ended after 1 match. I fully agree. They had this very, very long, drawn out story of Macklin chasing Josh Alexander. And then it was just over just like that. PCO and Sammy contracts are up soon. I'll talk about those at a later date. Awesome Kong looked rough. She was about to have a stroke or something. Really fun match though, and a good show. Yeah, it was just a fun match that we don't have to overthink something like this. You know, it was just fun to watch. I didn't expect a whole lot from her in there. I don't know what her age is currently. I didn't think she could do a whole lot, but um, yeah, she's been looking rough for a little while. But overall, it was good. It was a great episode. So I think that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. When I do my live stream reviews in the future, I am going to be more aware of the comments rather than just live stream and talk to you guys. I'm going to interact a little bit more when I'm doing my solo reviews, and they hopefully won't be at this time of the morning for me. So thanks for checking me out, guys. I'm out. Peace.